All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in to this daily/weekly horoscope. It's actually for the whole week. I'm currently moving at the moment, traveling cross country. So I decided to just do one video this week to cover all the dailies. And as soon as I get back next week, I'll get back to the dailies. So so let's see how this goes. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know and I'll be more than happy to respond. All right, so right off the bat on Monday and Tuesday, we've got the moon shifting into Sagittarius, which is the Crescent Phase. And there's a lot of Neptunian energy actually taking place, especially the first half of this week, these first couple days. So these first 2 days of the week, it's very receptive. It's allowing that Neptunian, that Piscean energy to really flow in. Venus is trining up to Neptune and the Sun is trining up to Neptune. And then Venus and the Sun are still very close. So I feel with this, especially on Monday, it's really that compassion, that compassionate heart really making its way through and shining. And again, there's strong emphasis on others and relationships, especially with this whole lunar cycle taking place in Libra. But in either case, it's really allowing in that presence and flow that has really been the emblem for the past, past few days, especially last week before this week. Now on Tuesday with the Sun there, that really is that now receptive part really shining and being creative. You know, the Sun rules creativity and everything we do on a creative level. So whether it's work or whatever it is, allowing in that higher octave, that intuition, that compassion into our work and imagination really. You know, the first couple days of the week, it's really a great time to just let your imagination soar. Let the intuition come to you, let the higher guidance come to you, and channel it into your work or channel it into whatever you're doing creatively. And if it's not creative, if this is a time that's a little bit probably more social or what have you, it's really a time of helping others, again, with that compassion, but it's in action. It's through the self, which is the Sun in essence. So we're stepping out of the purely present state and stepping into more of a active role, but it's still very spiritual, you see. So reflective and really thinking about what kind of intentions you want to set for this whole lunar cycle, you know, and this is the time to do it. The Crescent Phase is really the time to really start thinking about our values, what's important to us, and what kind of things we want to see manifest in our lives over this lunar cycle, over the next 28 days, but really over the next week, once the moon gets into its full moon phase. So this is really the energy for these first couple days, and then on Wednesday the moon starts to fill up and gets into the first quarter phase. So at this point it's very active, action oriented, much more active part of the week, and there's no aspects taking place Wednesday through Friday other than Mercury conjuncting up to the North Node. So what I feel from this is, again, it's that reflection, and it's really starting to see it in terms of the direction we're moving in. The North Node is associated with the eclipse. Mercury's already gone through over the North Node before retrograde. Now he's going direct. When he was retrograde, a lot of this stuff we were thinking about, we're mulling over it. We weren't sure in terms of exactly what we were doing or which direction we're heading in. But now is the time to really start to be very clear and perhaps put it in action. Start doing these things, moving in that direction, getting the ball moving in that new direction, whatever it is for you. And if you'd like a little more guidance in terms of what this is for you in particular, check out my November horoscopes for your particular sign, for your sidereal sign. And through that, you'll be able to find a much better indicator of what exactly that is for you. But in general, we're all shifting, we're all moving, there's adjustments taking place. And middle week is really the time to, I feel, really start putting things in motion, especially on the day-to-day level, because Mercury is working with the energies, moving things around, and it's literally sometimes moving things around. But if it's not on the external, really what's happening on the inside is we're starting to work with the energies. So start to work with them, start to put things in motion, and that's really going to start to get the ball moving once the moon starts to fill up more and more and gets closer and closer to the full moon. Now, for this weekend, we have a lot of aspects taking place on Saturday and Sunday. And at this point, the moon is going to really start to be getting filled up and entering that gibbous phase. And there's a lot of aspects taking place. We've got Mars sextiling up to Neptune. We've got Mercury sextiling up to Jupiter, Venus sextiling up to Pluto, and Saturn changing sign. So lots of activity over the weekend, but it's all very harmonious. You can see with the sextiles and then Saturn changing sign is actually very constructive, I feel, and it's setting a lot of shifts and a lot of changes. it's subtle when Saturn changes, and so it doesn't all happen at once. But I think towards the end of this week, we're really going to notice things are really starting to shift and really starting to move. And the direction they're starting to move into is that of a much more deeper, more meaningful foundation. You know, we're really starting to now understand the deep importance of having good structure, good discipline, and maturity in our lives, and how that sets a spiritual foundation for all that we do. It's really grounding our spirituality. You know, Saturn's going into Scorpio. Scorpio is water. It's spiritual. It's a very high spiritual octave, and it has to do with transformation, transmutation, growth, and all these sorts of things. And when Saturn goes in there, it's really a time of having that solid foundation in terms of your spirituality, that grounded approach. Because what's spirituality if we have no firm ground to stand on? And this is what Saturn's going to be showing us now for the next 2.5 years when he's transiting Scorpio. And this is for Sidereal Astrology, by the way, which is different from tropical Western astrology. But in either case, Saturn shifting into this area, it's really starting to build things, is what I feel, meaningful things in our life, what's important to us. And that's how I feel early in the week. It's very important that we really do this reflection so that later on in the week, when things start to, there's more energy, the moon's filling up, we're much clearer on what exactly we're doing and setting those intentions, putting those intentions into action. But this is a very large energy. It's for the next 2.5 years. And it's really leading us into November too. And it's all taking things one step at a time. You know, for those of us that do see major shifts happening this week, it's really a reminder to just look at it as you're scaling a mountain, but the mountains aren't scaled overnight. You know, so it can seem kind of daunting, but the thing with Saturn is we're just taking things one step at a time. And as long as one step is taken, we're constantly growing and restructuring and open to change while at the same time building that foundation, then this is great progress. And this is really the support we want to start building. We want to get this energy working in the right direction right off the bat, because that's creating those stepping stones for the next 2.5 years. So really get meaningful, get deep, and don't be afraid to restructure things and get down and dirty. Make whatever changes need to be made now in order to build that solid foundation. But it's really tapping into the Saturn qualities of that maturity and groundedness approach. Now, in terms of these aspects over the weekend in particular, the moon's going to be in Aquarius, and so Neptune is there. So this whole week is very Neptunian. Mars is sextiling up to Neptune on Saturday. So this is again, and I feel there's really a strong sense of helping others this week, especially during the weekend with Mars, because Mars is action-oriented, and anytime he makes an aspect to Neptune, which is that higher heart and compassion, you know, it's really a great time to be of service to others, to help others, be there for them, of course being receptive, and also perhaps doing, you know, some R&R, really. This is a type of energy too where Mars needs to take a little bit of a break, a little bit of a rest. So for those of you that have been pushing really hard, working really hard, this is a great weekend to really unwind and relax. Now, Mercury is going to be sextiling up to Jupiter, and so this is the ability to really see the big picture. And again, it's really this bountifulness and sharing this bountifulness with everyone. So with everyone in our lives. So tapping into that optimism, that big picture, that focus, again, connecting to soul family, I feel, with Jupiter and Cancer. And communicating it, sharing our truth, sharing our knowledge with everyone. The moon's going to be in Aquarius, and this is really just being ourselves and being free. And I really feel like it's going to be a time this weekend when everything's going to seem very open. Okay, the world's going to seem open. So tap into that, and when you do, you'll feel that tremendous Aquarian freedom. I really feel, and it's very spiritual and very healing too, with Chiron in Aquarius as well. Now, in terms of Venus and Pluto, this could be a time when we get really deep over the weekend with relationships, or wanting to, you know, and that's the whole point of relationships, isn't it? And with all this whole cycle happening in Libra, with this eclipse in Libra and all of this is a time when we're really seeing the emotional side of relationships, the deeper side, and what we can do to really make structural changes, you know, and grow in our relationships through them and with them. But just overall, it's a time of really connecting to things on a very deep level. So get deep over the weekend, get real, get raw, enjoy it. Enjoy the beauty that brings, because Venus aspecting up to Pluto, it's always seeing that enjoyment in the deeper, meaningful side of life. All right, guys, so that's the week generally in an overview. So I'm going to draw a card and see what Spirit has in store for us for this week. Well, there's Pisces again. And Pisces came up in the last daily, and with all this Neptunian energy, all I can say is this is the time I feel for, like I said, a lot of us to relax, really tap into the receptive part of ourselves, go with the flow, maybe do some spiritual things. You know, this week is the time to do things like meditation, going out into nature, connecting to our spiritual selves, developing our intuition, paying attention to our dreams. All of this stuff that rules Pisces and Neptune, I feel, is really important. And Uranus is transiting Pisces at the moment too. So with all this activity over the weekend, I think this is also a reminder to really tap into your true self. Be free, be your authentic self. And through that, there's this spiritual transformation, the spiritual energy of being our true selves and really feeling the spiritual side of that. All right, guys, I hope you have a great week, and I will be in touch for the next daily coming up next Monday. All right, guys, talk to you soon. Take care.